Here is the 2026 Subaru Ascent in sapphire blue metallic. This year we get some updates. This is an all-new paint palette, which they have discontinued the blue from last year. We get updates in the interior, 5 different trims to choose from, carrying the same turbocharged 2.4-liter boxer engine. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and it keeps that 8.7 inches of clearance with 4-wheel independent suspension. So right off the bat, the Subaru Ascent. It's going to have competition against Toyota, Honda, Mazda. The beauty about the Ascent is the pricing, because it just starts over $40,000 and it goes to just over $50,000. This year it discontinues the standard Onyx Edition, but it keeps the Onyx Edition Touring. You'll still be able to get the premium limited bronze edition, and of course the touring edition that we're showcasing here. Steering response, LED headlights in daytime runnings that go into the chrome bar that goes into the glossy black grille. I like the setup of this, especially with this new color, because it just pops. LED fog lights. You get the pattern structure that's here, that's going to be around the fog lights. You get the chrome around here and the texture that goes all around there. So they keep all of the attributes of that off-roady look, cleaning it up and giving a modern twist for this SUV that can fit 7 or 8 passengers throughout the different trims. And all Subarus are going to be powered by the same 2.4-liter 4-cylinder boxer turbocharged engine, producing 260 horsepower with 277 pound-feet of torque, paired to a CVT linear-tronic automatic transmission, which will mimic an 8-speed automatic transmission with a standard symmetrical all-wheel drive system, achieving 19 mpgs for the city, 25 mpgs for the highway. And when you go Subaru opposed to the competition, the towing capabilities is going to be at 5,000 pounds max, which isn't too bad. It basically does everything that you would need for a smaller third-row SUV. The payload over 1,400 pounds, which is quite a bit for this type of vehicle, going against competition like Toyota, Honda, Nissan, and Mazda. Mazda is going to be one of the more comfortable rides, and it's also longer than this, because now it's the CX-90. They no longer do the CX-9. Toyota, you could go to the Highlander, which is about the same size as this, so it's going to be a little bit cramped in the back. Cargo is going to be sufficient for the everyday use, or you could go to the Grand Highlander, which would be bigger than this, all of which are going to have the same towing capabilities as this. But where I'm getting at with the competition is the Ascent does not have a hybrid variant. And I know in the comments people are going to say, I don't want a hybrid. That's fine. I'm just saying, for competition purposes, you only have one engine to option in the Ascent. 18-inch wheels is standard. The Touring, obviously 20-inch wheels, 4-wheel independent suspension, so that's going to offset any of the imperfections in the road. You'll have the texture that goes around the fenders, carrying on to the lower sill with the chrome. And these raised roof rails are very impressive, because 700 pounds can fit up here. You can't do that with any SUV, not in the class that this is in. Gloss black is going to be on the side view mirror. It's power folding, heated with the LED integrated turn signal, and you can open and unlock all the doors just by simply putting your hand there or pushing the button here. And if you don't need a third row, the new Forester, I think, nailed it, because they offer that extra powertrain, giving the hybrid, plus you get better ground clearance when you go into the Wilderness Edition, whereas here it's going to be standard every trim, the ground clearance, the suspension, the engine, and a lot of the components on the interior, which I do appreciate that, because now you're getting a lot more standard amenities for 2026 opposed to last year. The C-structure LED taillights that go into the tailgate with the chrome that's going to go into the Subaru badging. The lower gets dual exhaust that's exposed. I like how they cover this up with the reverse parking sensors, 360-degree reverse camera, and you still get the texture here all over the lower part of the bumper. But the question that comes into play, is this going to be better than the competition? For me, I like what I'm getting as an overall value. It's just a touch over $50,000, so it is a steal, especially if you could get a discount. Say you get it in the mid-40s. This is by far the one that I would take home. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe and the like if you haven't already, because all this helps with the algorithm so we can bring more vehicles to the channel. Power liftgate, that's on all trims, going into 17.8 cubic feet of storage. You have the bag holders here on the side with a 12-volt charger. Bag holder here as well underneath the floor. Get storage for the privacy cover. Underneath this is going to be your spare tire. And from front to back, I got about 20 inches. From side to side, I got a max of 50.5 inches, but really 46 inches. This is folded all the way back, so you can see the difference between the two. To split fold the rear bench, pull this. It's going to fold down flat at a 60-40 split. This is going to increase cargo to 42. If I can get this going. This is going to increase cargo to 42.1 cubic feet. And from front to back, that's over 4 feet, which is 48.5 inches. But in order to get the 72.8 cubic feet, you will have to come back here and you have the diagram. You pull the tab, you pull this, fold down, and that will maximize cargo capacity from front to back at 88 inches, which is over 7 feet of cargo capacity. The key fob to the Ascent Touring. Nappa leather seats, 12-way power seat adjustment for the driver, 4-way power seat adjustment for the passenger, heated, ventilated front seats. It's perforated throughout the interior with manual cushion extensions for the driver, but not for the passenger. Memory for the driver, upgraded Harman Kardon sound system. With a flat dashboard layout, you'll have storage that's carved out in front of the passenger seat. I'm at 6'3" and I still have about 3.5 inches of knee space on both sides, but you do sit upwards a little higher because of the fact that we only have 4-way adjustment. Wireless charging pad, you have to pay extra for that, as well as the auto dimming rear view mirror. It's also a digital rear view mirror. Let's fire it up. And you can also have it just as your regular. You get the home link, you get the compass. Subaru's 11.6 multimedia plus system with navigation. It does come with the My Subaru for 5-year trial. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it's all wireless connectivity. Dual climate control settings, it's actually tri-climate control settings. You can see it right here. Put it into reverse, this is the best part, a 360-degree reverse camera backup assist. I like how they put the grid here because it does make it look a little futuristic. Wish this was a little bit bigger to cover some of the real estate. You do have your different driving modes right here, now showing the 4.2 informational display. The tachometer and odometer is going to be analog, which I appreciate that. And a cool thing about this is when you click onto any of these things, after so long, it'll just go off. So when you're driving, you still have physical buttons. You don't have to be so worried about these commands here to turn on and off your sound system, turning it up, even the actual climate control itself. But you have to pay for a wireless charging in the Touring trim. Come on. Click onto the view here and it'll show all around the vehicle like a bird's eye view, similar to Toyota. And you can change different viewpoints on the camera too by hitting that view button. So it's not just that bird's eye view. It literally will do the side to side and the whole front or the whole rear trajectory. USB ports here, you get the wood inserts. This is going to be soft and it opens up into a pretty deep storage pocket. This comes out and you can fit your change, business cards, whatever. Leather wrap steering wheel, heated multi-function. There's the heated switch for you. And the paddles. And check out the leg space that I have on the driver's side at 5.5 inches here, and I have about 5.5 inches here. And they keep that storage here, which is cool because if I'm not using the wireless charging pad, I can just put my phone right there. Headroom is also optimal. You can let me know in the comments. And you have a large panel moonroof that goes into the back seat. Open this up here and you'll have that little mirror, so that way you can see occupants in the back if you're doing any carpooling, and just open it up fully for your sunglass holder. LED interior lights, the door panel, and dash. It configures in together nicely. It's a Subaru, so I expect it to have harder materials found throughout the interior of the cabin. I'm fine with that. But the wood, I wish it was actually real wood instead of just putting all this plastic aesthetics in the interior, because we are in a $50,000 price point. I like the contrast stitch and I like how it carries on through here and wraps around into the passenger and the door card there. One touch up and down for just the front windows. This bulges up to give you a little bit more comfort with a medium-sized storage pocket. You have a total of 18 cup and bottle holders found throughout the interior of the cabin. What SUV gives you that many? For the back seats, this is the opening that you have to fit 2 more because we have the captain seat configuration. You can option the Ascent as a 8-seat vehicle also. Manual sunshades, which I actually like the way they've designed it. They have this little cushion here on the side, and it literally is more quiet than the plastic on plastic. The door card is basically the same as the front, so it's perforated here. You get that wood inserts that I was complaining about, except this area here, they did it in the front too. They just kind of left it. Maybe add something to give a two-tone. You get a beverage holder in the top. Same size storage pocket, so I appreciate that. Sitting behind me, easy entrance. Knee space, I got about 2.5 inches here and maybe 2 inches here. The seats are carved out, so that does help. Storage behind both of the front seats, and here is your command center for the third climate control, heated. Second row, you get a home plug, 2 USB ports. Open that up and now you got some cup holders. I wish they would have cleaned up this amplifier. I don't want to see the sound system amplifier just sitting there because you cleaned up everything here. These are captain seats, so you have this here that will adjust for you depending on where you want it. And headroom, they do a pretty good job for the back. Even though you sit up higher, the seats are a little bit more firm. You can recline these just so you can see how it looks. And you have your air vents stationed in the ceiling so you feel air circling all around the cabin. To go into the third row, pull this lever, slide it forward, and you actually have a pretty decent entrance, giving us about 18 to 19 inches to get inside. Fit 3 more back here. You're gonna have a total of 3 more cup holders, USB ports, a little cubby right there. The sound system comes into the back as well as the air vent. But over here, they clean it up a little bit better with the USB ports, and they only give you 2 cup or bottle holders instead of 3. And I guess they give you something to put little chocolates. Sliding this back, it is manual. This is all the way. Not gonna have much knee space. There's really no need to put a tape because you can see what I have. And headroom is pretty tight. I probably have about 1/2 inch, but you can let me know in the comments. Sitting into the center, if the seat is all the way back, I can't fit. Even with the seat in this position, it's gonna be a little bit tight, but I can kind of stretch my legs out. It's not that wide between here. So the majority of the time you're going to be sharing feet space because this bulges out, butt, leg, and shoulder space because you can see the dimensions here, the way these bulge out. They just don't do a great job for third row. It can be doable for me to sit back here, but very uncomfortable. I would say I have really about 16 inches. And headroom is also a concern. And one thing that I would like to note is I actually set the seat all the way back to make it where I could fit. So you'll lose a little bit of cargo capacity, but you still have a sufficient amount back there, especially considering I left this one in the upright position. 260 horsepower out of the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. 277 pound-feet of torque. I like this little area here because you can see how the suspension is going over speed bumps. Obviously, it's going to penetrate in the interior, but it's not bad. I mean, you sit up really good with that clearance, off-road suspension. Even with 20-inch wheels, it soaks up the bumps pretty darn good. You do feel a lot higher than the clearance actually suggests, though. That is one thing to note when you're going into the Ascent. It's easy to get in and out, so if you are handicapped or somebody that's tall, it's gonna make it a little bit easier for your day in and day out. And now that Lineartronic CVT transmission. That turbocharged engine is quick. I really like the refinement of the drive. Smooth. Road noise does filter in quite a bit. You're probably going to see this quite a bit too because of where the cameras are. Braking, there's no one behind me. It's not bad. It's not necessarily going to stop on a dime. It doesn't feel heavy. It just feels like they need bigger brakes. The comfort to the seat on the driver and passenger is also really good. I just dislike that the manual cushion extension is only on the driver's side. The back seat starts getting a little bit uncomfortable, and the third row is it's a little bit unbearable for somebody at 6'3". For a quick drive, it's doable, don't get me wrong, but you're gonna have to move the seats back and you're gonna lose some cargo capacity. The infotainment screen, I like that we still have physical buttons. I think they do a good job with that. The interface itself does still have a little bit of glitch to it, which should be cleaned up by now, but it still isn't. The 360-degree reverse camera is good, and I like the intuitive where it shows the actual trajectory in the back, because that does look pretty dynamic. Unfortunately, it would be nicer if it just covered up this screen. And when you go into commands, it will automatically go into your home page after about 5 to 10 seconds. But you will have to use this command system to do all of your features. So everything is still derived through that except for the climate control itself and the stereo. Now with the turbocharged engine, what I like so much about it is you have instant power almost all the time, even at higher notes or lower, meaning when you're taking off or when you're just driving through traffic. As for maneuverability, the steering is pretty light. Does have a little bit of feedback. You don't have to hit a higher RPM all the time. You don't feel the vibrations of the engine in the interior of the cabin. And it doesn't feel that wide or that long in the lane either. So it's a practical everyday vehicle that gets the job done in a low $50,000 price, which is not going to be the case in any of the competition that this competes with. Even if you go into Nissan, you're going to be spending an up to $55,000 to $60,000 to get comparable features to this, and then you're not going to have that off-roadiness that you can do with this particular vehicle. So it literally goes to that next stage because this is that adventure type SUV that also packs luxury and a modern twist. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out this next video here, and I'd like to thank our friends here at Subaru of Lakeland.